Hello, Yvonne.
Neil,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you going?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Excellent.
Been a productive week in Thylacine world.
Oh, how's it just?
Yeah, we put a video out the other day. I don't know if you saw it.
Which one? Was that the thermal scope?
Yeah, the thermal scope one, yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, did you see the full length one that came out yesterday or the day before?
No, I haven't, no.
I've put out the full 41 seconds and I slowed it right down.
Oh, awesome.
So you can see its gait a lot better, and it's got that funny little awkward canter thing going on.
Yeah, when you see it, it's very distinctive, isn't it?
Certainly is. Anyway, thank you for coming forward with your information. You're okay with me recording this for our YouTube channel?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome, no worries. Fire away, let's hear it. What happened?
Oh, well, I was driving along minding my own business, and I was in a little white Tirana. It would have been, we'd had big bushfires in the Burrabri Forestry in November 1996, and that burnt like 72,000 hectares. So, but I was on the Chinchilla Road, and I was approaching Dead Man's Gully, sort of Canniga sort of area, and I'd hit a swamp wallaby there a couple of weeks beforehand, caught it on the hop.
Yep.
So I was being pretty careful, and there was long dry grass on the sides of the road. It was hot, and it would have been about 11, 12 o'clock in the day, so, middle of the day.
Yep.
And I saw this head, because I'm watching, I saw this head pop out of the grass and automatically thought, oh yeah, here we go, another swampy. Slowed right down, and instead of hopping out like I expected, this creature ambles out on all fours. So my brain's just trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing a wallaby hopping like I expected.
Yep.
And it was quite dark in colour. It was like probably somewhere between swamp wallaby and a bay horse, so like a mahogany colour.
Yep.
The stripes were still very visible, even though it was a dark coat.
Yep.
So they went from, probably a bit forward of the midsection, back down over its tail a little way.
Okay.
And the way it was walking, I actually thought there must be something wrong with this animal. It's like walking like it was drunk, like it was staggering, and that's when I realised this long stiff tail was kind of acting like a rudder as it was walking.
Okay.
It was really weird. But yeah, it just ambled across the road and into the grass on the right-hand side, and it was only as it sort of went through the grass I thought, shit, I've just seen a thylacine.
Okay,
That's the
when
only thing it could be.
all the pieces fell together in your mind, sort of thing.
Yeah.
How big was it?
I was looking at my blue to get comparison. It wasn't thick and solid. It probably would have been not quite as tall as a Labrador.
Right.
Probably halfway between a blue heeler and a Labrador. It seemed quite sappy, like it was a young animal.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And it was not like super shiny, like the coat wasn't super shiny. It was sort of a bit dusky, but like just little patches you could see the light shining on it. So it seemed to be quite healthy, but it just struck me it seemed like a young animal, not an older animal, like it hadn't filled out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. what sort of distance did you get to it as you were sort of driving along, slowing down as it was ambling across the road? Were you very far from it?
No, not really. I wasn't. Well, by the time it hit the middle of the road, I would have stopped maybe 10, 15 metres from it.
Okay, not very far then.
Yeah, no, not very far. And like it was just a struggle for my mind because I was trying to work out what it was when I saw it. And, probably should have paid a lot more attention to what I was seeing than trying to work out what it was. But yeah, no, I was just so excited. I was just so excited when I saw it. Drove all the way to Chinchilla. Told the then husband and his friends, I've just seen a Tasmanian tiger and it was on the road. And they were just laughing at me and yeah. So, but yeah, I know what I saw.
That must be why he's your ex, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then it would have been about a year ago. I was driving between Geelong and Wandai, just through those hills, so there's nowhere to stop, couldn't pull up. I'm sure I saw a deceased Thylacine joey in the middle of the road. Like, I just so wanted to stop and pick it up, but just there was no way to do it safely.
Yeah. There a bit of bush out that way, is there, in them hills?
Oh, yeah. Round all that country along there is mainly scrubland, so it's all that dryland forest.
Oh, yeah, open woodlands.
Yeah, and people, they're bigger blocks, so it's not a highly populated area. There are a lot of people scattered around.
But yeah, I get what you mean. They've all got nice big bush blocks.
Yeah, they're like on 40 acres and they might only use 2 of it,
Yep.
So nobody really sees everything that's going on there.
Is this area sort of north of Chinchilla, or?
Yes.
Okay, yep. I drove through Chinchilla a couple of years ago when I went up to Emerald in the Gemfields. I went to Roma and then north up to Emerald.
Oh, yeah, what'd you think?
It was oasis in the desert, both of them, Chinchilla and Roma, actually. All of a sudden, nothing, and then bang. There's all this city sort of thing in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. So, yeah, well equipped. It was interesting country, actually. I like it up there. That drive up to Emerald through the Great Divide was stunning. Up past Carnarvon Gorge and that's really good country up through there. I'd like to spend a bit of time in there.
Yeah, well, you never know what you're going to find now.
No, well, we've found a few things, so haven't quite proved too much, but I think we've proved it to ourselves with, the similarities of all the things we find, so.
Well, I was listening to one of your reports the other day, and there was a lady talking about one that she saw that was or it might have been a man, it was a brown sort of colour, and I thought, well, at least I'm not the only one that's seen
a darker coloured one. Yeah, I've held a pelt in the Adelaide Museum that was very dark, actually. It was more of a reddy, gingery sort of colour than a fawny one. It was almost like a tortoiseshell colour, but it didn't have any of the light colourings. It was all dark with that reddy tinge through the black and brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not all fawn coloured. A lot of the females were grey as well. And then the ones from WA are quite dark as well, and they have bands rather than stripes sometimes. People describe them being a bit wider.
Is that the black ones now? Or?
Well, the black ones, I've heard of black ones with white stripes. We've had a few black sightings in South Australia, and we had a little video of what I thought was a black one from South Australia only a couple of weeks back. About a month ago, I put that up on the channel. That's a really interesting little clip. Unfortunately from a mobile phone, so it doesn't give you a huge amount of detail, but the animal looks nothing like a fox or a cat or anything. It's got a weird gait, and it's just in the Adelaide Hills, just cruising along in broad daylight. And we've got black thylacine sightings not too far from that area, so it all sort of fits into place pretty much.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
this animal, when you saw it, sort of how long do you think you were looking at it for before it disappeared into the grass on the other side, sort of thing?
That's a good question.
Because you came to a stop completely, did you? You didn't slowly drive past it. You actually stopped the car on the road waiting for it to pass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I stopped. Like, it is quite some time ago.
Sure. 30
I-
years ago, nearly.
Yeah. I think I stopped. Maybe I just slowed right down till I was nearly stopped.
Yeah,
I do think I stopped because I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
When I realised, I was everything was starting to fall into place, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure.
Did it look at you at all?
Sorry?
Did it look at you?
Yeah, just kind of just like a over-the-shoulder glance, but it was just focused on, staggering across the road.
Was its head up or head down?
Probably level with its body, I think, from memory.
Okay.
It wasn't holding its head up high or anything that I can recall.
Yeah, but it had that slow, hopping, sort of injured-looking gait to it.
Yeah, because to start with, I'm thinking, what's wrong with this creature? Like, it had been hit by a car or something, but it moved fluidly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't injured, it wasn't holding a paw up or favouring a limb. It was just the weirdness of its gait.
That's what all the witnesses describe. Let's see it clearly. They all describe the gait. Everybody, I can't say every single one, but 99.9% of the people that see this thing are always trying to get their head around the gait of the animal.
Yeah, like, you just got to think, what kind of design was that? Oh, it's not it obviously works for the creature.
Yeah.
But it's just the weirdest
locomotion.
Yeah. It's just so strange.
So have you seen it for about 10, 20 seconds maybe, you think?
I think we'd be safe to say 10, maybe a little bit more seconds.
Okay.
And I remember looking into the grass, trying to think, trying to see where it's gone, so I could get another look at it.
Yeah.
But once it got into the grass, that was it. It just blended and it was gone.
Awesome. Did you tell anyone else other than your husband and friends at the time, or you just didn't worry about it after that?
Yeah, I tell lots of. I did tell lots of people, and I basically got the same reaction. But like people who know me, said, "Well, if that's what you saw, like,
then that's what you saw." Yeah.
They're not supposed to be around. I said, "Well, they're not. I know they're not meant to be, but geez, I just had one just walk, across." But I did actually ring the museum. I used the people's phone. Because no mobile phones back then.
Yep.
And I rang. It was museum in Brisbane there somewhere, Natural Museum.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, I just saw a thylacine. I just saw a Tasmanian tiger. It just walked out in front of the car. And this guy's like, what have you been drinking?
Yeah.
There's none around. And I'm like, well, one just walked in front of me. Anyway, he just fobbed me off. But he was nice enough to give me Tony Healy's
phone number.
Contact details, yeah.
Yeah, and you spoke to Tony?
Yes. And he sent me some clippings and newspaper clippings in the mail, and we spoke a bit, and I did do up a bit of a report and a sketch and sent it to him because he was thinking about doing a second book, after Out of the Shadows.
Yep.
But I don't know whatever came of that or whether my report got into it.
Yeah, right, okay. I'm not sure which... whether or not he has done a second book, but that Out of the Shadows was pretty good.
Oh, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. And when he told me about it, I ordered it through the museum, through the library.
Yep.
And they had to get it from the state library, and it was, I think, 2 or 3 month wait.
Wow.
Because it was booked out through the library that much, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you only borrowed it?
Yeah, I only borrowed it. And now, of course, they're worth a fortune because they're like a collector's item.
Yeah, these sorts of books on cryptid stuff, if they don't make many of them, they go up in price real quick. They're hard to get, some of them, so...
Oh, yeah, but he did also tell me, too, that to keep an eye out for, the roadkill and the lungs and the heart.
Hey, okay, he was onto it back then. Yep, that's good.
Yeah, and I did, because there's always lots of roadkill there. It's because there's a creek.
Yep, near that spot.
Near that spot, and I always kept an eye out, and I started seeing that. Like, there were... Because I had seen roadkill there with no heads before, and I just thought, oh, they've been taken off by the vehicle or something. But I started taking notice, and I noticed that the chest cavities were eaten out, and that was quite regular.
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
So I actually think, because like in that forestry, the Burrabri forestry, it's very, very remote. Like, it's not really well used by the public and all that sort of thing. And there are actually caves up there that most people don't know about.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I often wonder whether they were up in amongst that cave area when that bushfire hit, and they followed the creek all the way down to this section.
Yep.
Where I had the sighting.
More than likely, I would say, they're probably regular travellers through there. We've been finding wallabies or roos with their throat ripped out and there's no blood, and then the next day we come past and the head and the lungs are missing. We've had that a few times now, and I reckon that's the male making a kill for the female because she's got pouch young, and then she comes along 12, 15 hours behind him and takes the bit she needs for the young.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's the theory. Peter Chappell from AFRA had that theory, and I read about it. I thought, that's interesting. And then we started finding examples of it. Go past one day, throat's ripped out. Next day, the head and the lungs are gone. And it happened down the road from me here in Tassie, only in January this year. There was a wallaby. So, they're around. They're definitely around.
Yeah.
But they drink all the blood. They like the blood.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, before I forget, like you asked whether I spoke to other people about it, I was asking other people if they'd seen anything. And I got put onto a guy, an old fella. He used to breed, he used to have a sheep farm out at Thylacine, near Burrabri, sort of up close to Burrabri.
Yep.
And they gave up because the dingoes just gave them such a pizzling. It was more wild dogs than dingoes, I should say. Anyway, they ended up moving, and they went into the Bunya Mountains area.
Okay, yep.
Somewhere around there. Anyway, I contacted him and spoke to him on the phone, and he said, yep. He said, we've actually got a family of Tasmanian tigers that visit our property, and we buy ox hearts and offal, and we leave it out there for them, and they come in and eat, like not every night, hen, tame, whatever.
Yeah.
But he reckoned full moons was when they were most active on their property.
Yeah, right.
So they would put that
a bit of an offering.
Yeah. Yeah, and he didn't want anybody know, like he's long deceased now.
Yeah, but they moved up to the Bunya Mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to keep them safe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was quite interesting. So whether it was just a coincidence with the full moon, but he said they'd been coming in there for a long time.
There was a story from Tassie years ago about one of the trappers down at Dunalley, which is down the Tasman Peninsula, and he reckons in April on the full moon they'd come through bang on in April. But, You know, there's 12 full moons in a year.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, interesting. That's not the first time I've heard that sort of stuff either. So yeah, there's definitely patterns of behaviour with them, without a doubt, from state to state, because they're all over the mainland. They always have been, but you know, you can't get an expert to even consider that for a moment, because you know they know everything.
But it's crazy, Neil, that there's so many sightings, people reporting the same thing. There's photos, there's videos, and yet we need some big
dead animal,
thing to come and bring them back from extinction.
Yeah, well, that's just all so they can experiment, for one thing, and the other thing is to own nature. If they do create something, and sell you a ticket to come and see it. That's all that's about.
Yep.
And the investors that have supported it are all investors in, you know, whatever these freaks create in their science lab, yeah?
Yeah.
And I say freaks quite seriously, because I think they are freaks trying to do what they're doing, to be honest. And that, you know, they 3 weeks ago, they were running around saying they've cloned the dire wolf, and then a week, not even 3 days ago, they've come out and said, oh, we didn't actually clone the dire wolf. We thought we'd just, you know, sort of say that. It's like, what a load of crap, you know? Yeah, did you see that online?
No, I haven't been online much the last few days. Obviously, I'm missing out.
Yeah, it was that colossal mob. They just talk shit. They said they were going to clone a mammoth, and they said, oh, we can't actually clone a mammoth, but we can make a hairy elephant, maybe, you know, so it's just bullshit. It's you know, it's big money. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars. And the CIA have come out and said they're investing in it as well. They want a piece of the action. So, what does that say?
Yeah. But even when they came out with those 2 dire wolves, what was it, a week later, they come out and went, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you about this third one over here. You know, and I was like, well, wouldn't you, when you did your press release, like, you obviously knew if you created it?
Yeah.
It's 6 months old.
It's all spin.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's all spin. Yeah. All right, then. Well, look, thank you very, very much for chatting to us, Yvonne. I really appreciate that.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much for your call.
That's all right. No worries. And I'll get this edited off in the next few days when I get a chance, and pop it on the YouTube for people to have a listen to. I might take out some of the specific details of locations, though, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Just to keep it a little bit mysterious. But, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome report you've got there. Broad daylight, a couple of metres in front of the car is pretty hard to argue with, of course.
Oh, yeah, like, just a pity my son wasn't old enough to give me a bit of backup.
Yeah, he's only a little fella, was he?
Yeah, I think he would have only been about 2.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So we can't take his word for it.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, you enjoy the rest of your evening there, and thanks very much. And I'll speak to you again if you find something. Let us know.
Keep up the good work, Neil.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.